If you looked at me on any random Tuesday, you would not see a person. You would see beige, beige cardigan, beige flats, beige mug with a chip on the rim that I keep using anyway because it feels like a character in a sitcom that never airs. My name is Danielle Price. I am 45 years old. I drive a 10-year-old Corolla that has never seen the far side of the speed limit. Every day at 12:15 on the dot, I eat a turkey sandwich on wheat and a small bag of baked chips at the same gray break room table. At Intermetro Freight Solutions, I am known as Danielle from Risk and Compliance, the buzzkill, the policy police, the woman who cares too much about commas. To the sales team, I am the reason contracts are slower. To the warehouse crew, I am the reason clipboards exist. To my boss, Derek Lang, I am a necessary annoyance, like antivirus software that keeps nagging for updates when he is trying to watch highlight reels. Derek is the vice president of operations. That job title suggests he operates something. In reality, the only things he operates are espresso machines and other people's nerves. He wears slim-fit blazers with expensive sneakers to signal that he is both powerful and chill. He greets people with finger guns. He will also email you at 11:59 at night and then ask why you have not replied by 7. This morning he leaned on the edge of my cubicle and exhaled a sigh that smelled like dark roast and ego. Danielle, did you really need to send a 3-page memo about label placement on hazardous materials boxes? He asked. We ship car parts, not plutonium. You are scaring the new hires. Policy requires that we follow the federal marking standard for all mixed content palettes, I said without looking up. My voice was flat. I had perfected the tone of a person who retired from emotional display sometime around 2009. You sound like a manual, Derek muttered. We are trying to move fast and break things. Apparently, breaking things includes bones, public safety, and common sense. Please remember the all hands at 2, he continued. I am unveiling our new transparency initiative. Big energy, huge vibes. Try to look like you do not hate joy. He sauntered away toward the glass office where he keeps his self-importance. On the way, he high-fived Trey from sales, a man who has never said a sentence that did not include either bro, pipeline, or both. I waited until Derek was well out of sight. Then I moved my cursor to a perfectly normal-looking spreadsheet, pressed a sequence of 12 keys, and watched the screen flicker. The sheet collapsed into a login field that did not belong to Intermetro at all. Classification Gateway, Department of Homeland Security, Tier 4 Transit Liaison Access. Derek thinks Intermetro moves only engine blocks and brake calipers. We do move those things. About 60% of our manifests are exactly what they say. The other 40% is what I handle. I manage silent transport for compact energy cores that power classified aircraft. I oversee routes for sealed biocontainment units that must never, under any circumstance, be stopped on an open highway. I approve shipping paths for items that are described only in strings of letters and numbers, watched in real time by 3 different federal agencies, and a very nervous person in a bunker. On my badge, it says Senior Compliance Analyst. On a different laminated card that I never show anyone, it says Federal Transit Liaison, Tier 4. I am not just Danielle from Risk. I am one of the people who make sure very dangerous things do not meet very stupid people. And I have to do all of this while pretending that I care mostly about toner budgets. It is lonely, in a way I do not know how to explain. I sit there tracing lines on a hidden map that, if drawn wrong, could wipe out half a county, while 2 marketing assistants argue over which dating show villain was more iconic. Sometimes I want to stand up and yell, "We are hiding experimental reactors inside your boring truckloads of lug nuts, you walking energy drinks." But I do not. I put my headphones in, I listen to narrated drama on my phone, and I send another email about missing signatures. Speaking of narration, since we are strolling into sensitive territory, this is the part where I remind you to tap that little engagement thing. A like, a comment, whatever your platform calls it. It helps the story reach more sleepless office workers, and it helps me justify telling you about people who almost turned the Eastern Seaboard into a cautionary tale. Anyway, in the bottom drawer of my desk, under a stack of ancient safety manuals, is a binder. The label on the spine reads, Ergonomic Guidelines 2005. No one has ever voluntarily opened an ergonomic guideline from 2005. Inside that binder is not ergonomic guidance. It is hard copy backup for our off-ledger routes, the ghost paths, the ones that never appear on standard GPS. Today, the top document is stamped Project Black Lantern. Publicly, Black Lantern is a shipment of industrial battery housings going from our hub in Ohio to a refurbishing facility in Georgia. Privately, Black Lantern is a convoy carrying compact experimental energy cores that must never be exposed, never be breached, and never, under any circumstance, be delayed by a grown man with a headset who wants to show off to his staff. I did not know it when I took that file out, but by the end of the day, Derek would find a way to poke that bear, and I would stop him, in a way he will remember for the rest of his very different career. By 1:58 that afternoon, the conference room was already full. Intermetro loved meetings the way raccoons love trash. The room had glass walls, an 80-inch screen, and the faint smell of bagels that were bought for morale and left for fruit flies. I sat at my desk at 1:59, pretending to review a safety checklist while I actually monitored Black Lantern on the secure map hidden behind it. 3 small icons representing 3 trucks, gliding along a curated path of low-profile rest stops and cleared overpasses, everything on course. Then Derek appeared again, this time with the theatrical urgency of a man who believes panic equals leadership. Danielle, he snapped, tapping the edge of my monitor with 2 fingers. I need your laptop. My hand froze on the mouse. Your what? I asked, although I heard him perfectly. My laptop decided to update itself or die. Who knows, he said. It is busy, and I need to run the transparency deck. Plug and play, right? There is an HDMI cable. I just need slides and a browser. That is not possible, I said. The words came out sharper than I planned. My machine is configured for restricted content. It is not suited for general display. Danielle, he said in the patient tone of a man explaining colors to a toddler, this company is trying to be agile. We share resources, synergy, one team, bring the laptop. He put his hand out like a surgeon asking for a scalpel. I could have refused. In theory. In practice, that refusal would become an incident. The wrong kind. The kind that involves questions from people who do not understand the words clearance and compartmentalization and why the quiet black woman near the copier cannot let her computer leave her side. There is a rule in my other job. Avoid attention. Avoid theater. Avoid headlines. So I did something that would haunt Derek more than any headline. I closed the Black Lantern manifest screen. I did not log out. I did not terminate the secure session. I minimized it. It shrank into a discrete rectangle on the bottom of the screen and pulsed once. Waiting. I picked up the laptop. It felt heavier than it should. I followed Derek down the hallway toward the glass fishbowl. You need to be careful, I said as we walked. There are windows in the taskbar that cannot be opened in front of uncleared staff. He chuckled. Relax, Danielle. No one wants to steal your compliance forms. If anyone falls asleep during my presentation, I will blame you. The room was already humming when we stepped in. Sales, ops, accounting, dispatch. About 30 people. Fluorescent lights buzzing, chairs squeaking, people holding branded water bottles like emotional support props. Derek clapped his hands. Team, he boomed. Today begins a new era at Intermetro. Radical transparency, radical speed, radical synergy. Try not to faint. He pointed the laser pointer at the empty screen. Danielle, bring our friend to life. I walked to the podium, set my laptop down, and connected the HDMI cable. The big screen flashed, then mirrored. My boring blue desktop appeared. 12 icons, one minimized window blinking softly like a live coal. I stepped back. "Thank you," Derek said. "You are a star. A dim one, but you shine." People laughed the dutiful laugh of salary dependents. He shoved the trackpad with 2 fingers, opened his slide deck, and launched into his sermon. Bar charts, growth lines, a circle graph that looked impressive and meant nothing. I leaned against the back wall by the light switch. My secure phone rested in the pocket of my cardigan. I could feel its weight like a heartbeat. "Now," Derek said after 10 minutes of metrics and slogans, "I promise transparency, right? That means we look at where our bottlenecks are. We look at why some teams feel they are overloaded." He minimized the presentation. My desktop came back. "And we take a peek into the mysterious kingdom of Danielle Price," he announced. My stomach clenched. "Derek," I said clearly from the back, "do not touch anything labeled secure." He rolled his eyes. "This," he said, moving the cursor over the blinking minimized icon, "this little box right here has been hogging resources all morning. Secure node." He read the label in a mocking voice. "Secure node. Sounds dramatic. I bet it is a spreadsheet about ink usage." He clicked. The window expanded to fill the screen. It was not a spreadsheet. It was a map of the eastern half of the United States, dark blue background, overlaid with glowing lines. 3 primary routes pulsed in amber, each tagged with classification codes. A control panel along the side listed codes, timestamps, and risk flags. At the top, in red, the words Transit Oversight Portal, Project Black Lantern, Active Payload Class, Experimental Energy Cores, High Risk. The room went so quiet that I could hear the air conditioner hesitate. Someone exhaled a very small, "oh." Derek tilted his head, squinting. "Is this some kind of training sim?" he asked. "Like Truck Tetris. Nice graphics, Danielle. I had no idea you were a gamer." He moved the cursor toward the control panel. "Look at that word," he said, pointing at the line that read high risk. Maybe this is why Danielle is so uptight about fonts. A nervous chuckle came from somewhere near the door. On the screen, one of the amber lines flashed. One of the Black Lantern trucks had reached a checkpoint. Derek clicked again. The display zoomed in. County lines sharpened into highways. Rest stops appeared. The convoy icon expanded, showing exact coordinates, ETA, and a detailed note. "Do not stop within 3-mile radius of any public gathering. Do not open containment under any circumstance outside of designated site." Derek laughed. "Look, everyone," he called. "Danielle has fan fiction for batteries." I slid my hand into my pocket. My fingers closed around the secure phone. There is a point in every mistake when it is still just a mistake. Then there is the point where it becomes an incident. We had passed that point 30 seconds ago. I pressed my thumb to the reader on the phone. The emergency app opened. A single red button glowed on the screen. Level 4 containment trigger. I looked at Derek. I looked at the glowing convoy marker on the big screen. Then I tapped the button. Somewhere far from that room, beyond the building, beyond the city, circuits flipped. Signal dampers woke. Perimeter locks shook off dust. Derek thought he had found a way to humiliate the woman in the beige cardigan. He had actually just invited the federal government into his meeting, and they were already on their way. The secure phone vibrated once in my hand, short and sharp. Alert received. I slid it back into my pocket and forced my face into the same neutral expression I used during budget reviews. On the screen, Derek was still talking. "So anyway," he said, waving the laser pointer at the convoy icon, "if I can gamify logistics, anyone can. We just need to think bold, innovative, not buried in rulebooks." "Derek," I said, loud enough to carry, "step away from the computer." He did not even look back. "You really commit to the bit, Danielle," he replied. "Maybe we can put this map on the website, interactive traffic." He tried to close the window. The cursor did not move. He clicked again. Nothing. "Oh, perfect," he said. "You broke your own game." He hit the key combination for Task Manager. The screen did not respond. The map stayed frozen, then flickered. The Department of Homeland Security seal appeared in the corner for half a second and vanished again. At corporate headquarters, they drilled us on response timing until we could do it in our sleep. Phase 1. Digital Isolation. At 2:20, the Wi-Fi icon in the corner of the big screen turned into a red X. "Hey," whispered someone from marketing. "My email just died." "My messenger will not connect," muttered someone from accounting. "My phone has no bars," Trey from sales said, holding his device up like a sacrifice. That would be the localized signal containment, a polite phrase for jammer. Derek sighed dramatically. "Fantastic. The internet died," he said. "Who at IT spilled coffee on the router?" I watched the LED lights in the hallway through the glass wall. The building network rack was visible if you knew where to look. The green lights that normally blinked in chaotic rhythm were now solid amber, containment net in place. "Derek," I said again, "you need to listen to me. Now." He spun around, irritation bright in his eyes. "Danielle, I get that you love rules," he snapped. "But I am not going to let your risk obsession derail a culture moment. Sit down and let me lead." He turned back to the laptop, jabbing at the keys. At 2:22, the lights flickered. The overhead fluorescence flashed once, then died. A groan went through the room. Emergency fixtures under the exit signs blinked on. Dim red wash filled the space, painting every face the color of old bruises. "What in the world?" Brenda from accounting whispered. That would be phase 2. Power reroute. Non-essential circuits offline. Hardening in progress. "Okay, so that is not ideal," Derek said, trying to keep his voice light. "I am going to call facilities. This building is held together with tape." He picked up his phone, swiped, and frowned. Zero signal. He shook it, as if force might create reception. "Anyone else get bars?" he asked. Nobody did. "Landline," he said. "There is a phone on the wall." He strode over, lifted the receiver, and pressed the cradle. No dial tone. Just silence. The secure phone in my pocket buzzed twice. Phase 3 acknowledged. "Derek," I said, "please check the door." He stared at me as if I had told him to check for dragons. "The door," I repeated. "Try to open it." He rolled his eyes again. He walked over to the glass slab that separated us from the hallway, wrapped his hand around the steel handle, and pulled. Nothing. The door did not move. He frowned, yanked harder. The glass rattled, but the lock did not give. "It is stuck," he said. "Someone jammed it." "Try again," I said. He braced one foot against the frame and pulled with both hands. His face turned red. The door did not budge. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. "Kyle, help me." Trey stood up. They both pulled. The door held. "Might be an electronic lock," said Marvin from IT softly. His voice came from the back of the room. He rarely spoke. "System side." He was right. The magnetic locks had engaged across all controlled doors, floor by floor, like a quiet, invisible set of teeth closing. "Why would the building lock us in?" asked Sarah from marketing. Her eyes were wide, pupils huge in the red light. "Active shooter drill," offered someone else with false cheer. I shook my head. "No," I said. "This is not a shooter drill." I walked toward the window. The blinds were half open. Through the glass I could see the lot outside. At the entrance to the complex, heavy yellow barriers were rising from the pavement, blocking the driveway. A metal shutter had rolled down over the main doors downstairs. A security truck we had all assumed was decorative was now parked at an angle across the exit lane. "Everyone," I said, turning back to the room, "I need you to remain calm." "Do you know what this is?" Brenda asked. Her voice had gone small. "Yes," I said. Tell them it is a bug, Derek snapped. Tell them it is one of your drills. You do drills, right? That is what you compliance people do. Simulations. Run your mouth and send emails. My patience, never extensive where Derek was concerned, thinned to a thread. You want transparency, Derek, I said. Here it is. This is a containment event, because you just exposed restricted transit data to 30 uncleared people in a room with cameras. He laughed once, high and strained. Stop with the spy talk, he said. You sound like a movie. This is some IT overreaction. As if on cue, the big screen blinked. The map vanished. The DHS seal appeared dead center, crisp and white against black. Under it, a message. Transit security lockdown. Remain in place. Compliance team en route. A timer appeared beneath that line, counting down from 4,000. What does that mean? Whispered Sarah. It means we are not leaving, I said, until the people behind that logo arrive. And who are they exactly? Asked Marvin. The ones who take my real emails, I said. Sales laughed when they were confused. It is a reflex. The laugh died quickly. Derek tried to bluster. This company is a private entity, he barked. No one locks down my building without running it by me first. I am calling the regional director. With what signal? I asked. He ignored me, pacing at the head of the table. Everyone just relax, he said. We will figure this out. Worst case, this is a glitch that we will turn into a funny story at holiday party. Trey raised his hand halfway. Is this because of that map thing? He asked. Because that did not look like a game. Derek opened his mouth to answer. The secure phone in my pocket vibrated a third time. Phase 4. Arrival imminent. Sit down, I said. He glared. Excuse me. Sit down, I repeated. I let my liaison voice show through, the one I use on calls with people who track satellites. Everyone, put your hands where security can see them, on the table, fingers spread. A few people obeyed immediately. Their instincts believed my tone more than Derek's creativeness. Danielle, cut it out, Derek snapped. This drama queen act is not helping. I am still in charge here. He was halfway through that sentence when the first thud echoed through the ceiling. Heavy boots above, dozens. Somewhere in the stairwell, a metallic bang rattled the walls. Whoever Derek believed he was in charge of, it was not them. In about 1 minute, the people I had called would walk into that room with rifles and questions. And I would finally walk out from under the beige cardigan, at least for a moment. Just long enough to point at the man who created this mess and say, there, that one. The first thing we heard was the stairwell door on our floor exploding inward, not with fire, but with force. A echoing thunderclap of metal and frame. Several people shrieked. Everyone down, I said louder. Hands flat, heads lowered. Do not reach for your phones. Who are you to order us around? Derek snapped. Then the conference room door shattered. The glass did not explode into cinematic shards. It fractured in a spiderweb, then buckled as a steel tool punched through the center near the lock. Hands in black gloves grabbed the hole and yanked. The entire panel came free like a loose tooth and crashed to the carpet with a heavy, crystalline thud. 6 figures in dark tactical gear flowed through the opening. Helmets, visors, vests, weapons. No visible agency names, just a small patch with an eagle logo and a number. Hands where we can see them, the lead operator shouted, voice amplified. Heads down, do not move. Adrenaline is a strange thing. It makes time slow and everything sharp. Trey slapped his palms on the table and lowered his forehead. Brenda whispered a prayer. Marvin from IT complied so fast that he almost fell off his chair. Derek remained frozen at the front of the room, half turned toward the operators. This is my building, he began. I demand to know what is happening. He did not get to finish. The lead operator crossed the space in 3 strides, grabbed a fistful of Derek Blazer at the collar, and slammed him chest first onto the table so hard that the coffee cups jumped. "Subject secured," the operator barked. "Do not move, sir." Derek sputtered. "You cannot," he protested into the wood. "I am a vice president." The operator did not respond. Titles do not matter to people who measure authority in calibers. Other operators moved down the line, zip-tying wrists swiftly, plastic biting into skin. No one resisted. One approached me, saw the secure liaison phone in front of me, and paused. He glanced at my face, then at the ID badge clipped under my cardigan. Not the white company badge, the smaller black tag beneath it. "Command, visual on ground liaison," he said into his mic. "Tag code Lima 79 confirmed." He straightened. "Ma'am," he said, "please stand slowly and step to the side." My coworkers stared, their foreheads pressed against the table. "Danielle," asked Sarah shakily, Are you with them?" "Head down, please," the operator reminded her. I stood and moved to the gap in the corner, near the shattered doorway. Seeing the room from that angle was surreal. 30 people pinned in place, hands splayed, the beige conference chairs suddenly looking very small under all that fear. The team leader looked at me. "Confirm sequence," he said. "Map exposure, black lantern, conference display." "Confirmed," I answered. Primary terminal was taken without authorization by Derek Lang. I nodded toward the man currently bleeding slightly on the table. He overrided verbal warning. He opened the node and zoomed in on convoy location while broadcast was visible to uncleared staff. I triggered containment at first exposure. The operator nodded once. "Understood." He lowered his head near Derek's ear. "Mr. Lang," he said in a tone that suggested he had no interest in whether Derek liked that form of address. "You are being detained pending investigation of a classified information exposure. You will remain still, or you will be restrained more firmly. Do you understand?" "This is insane," Derek blurted. "I did not click anything important. It was on the screen already. She brought it in. She set me up." He jerked his chin toward me, as far as the grip on his collar allowed. The operator did not even glance my way. "Liaison Price initiated lockdown," he said. "You initiated exposure. There is a difference." "Someone tell me this is a prank," Trey whispered. "No one is that good at pranks," Marvin replied. Another operator walked around the table with a large black duffel. He swept all the phones, smartwatches, and stray USB drives into it as if gathering shells. "All devices will be taken for analysis," he said. "You will file claims later. For now, nothing leaves this room." Sarah let out a small sob when her phone disappeared. "My pictures," she whispered. "Better to lose pictures than liberty," murmured Brenda, then flinched as her own phone vanished. The lead operator turned back to me. "Containment perimeter is clean," he said. "No external transmission. Convoy remains on schedule." "Good," I said. A muscle in my neck unclenched that I had not realized was tight. Outside the window, I could see another vehicle pull into the lot. Dark paint, government plates. Derek was still talking. "Listen," he babbled. "I did not mean to do anything wrong. That woman never tells me what she really does. She hides information. This is on her. She could have stopped me." I stepped closer. "Derek," I said. "I told you 3 times not to touch that window. I told you it was restricted. You decided to turn it into a joke." He twisted his head enough to glare at me with one eye. "You could have shut the computer down," he snarled. "You wanted this. You wanted me humiliated." "As opposed to what you wanted," I asked, "which was what exactly kicks and giggles while you toy with assets that can level a city block?" The room inhaled collectively. "You are exaggerating," Derek said, but even he did not sound as if he believed it. "Mr. Lang," the operator cut in, "this conversation is not in your interest. You will have counsel later. For now, remain silent." He signaled to his team. "Extract primary subject." 2 operators hauled Derek upright. His hands were cuffed now, plastic binding his wrists behind his back. He saw me standing in the corner with the liaison tag visible. "Danielle," he said, voice cracking. "Tell them this is a misunderstanding. Tell them I am on your side." I considered all the times he had spoken over me in meetings, all the times he had rolled his eyes at my warnings, all the times he had called me uptight, dramatic, difficult. "You are on the side of people who ignore instructions," I said. "That side is very crowded. You will have company." They guided him toward the door. At the threshold, he looked back. The confusion on his face was almost more intense than the fear. He still did not understand how the woman he dismissed as boring had just become the person deciding which story the government heard first. He disappeared into the hallway, flanked by armor. The room was silent except for the soft crackle of broken glass under boots and the faint, distant thump of the helicopter blades above. The operator addressed the remaining staff. "Intermetro personnel," he said. "You have been present at a classified containment event. For now, you are witnesses, not suspects. Follow instructions, and you will go home later with a strange story that you are not permitted to tell. Do we understand each other?" Heads bobbed. "Liaison Price has operational authority on site for the next phase," he continued, gesturing toward me. "You will do what she tells you to do." 30 sets of eyes turned to me. For the first time in 15 years, the beige ghost in the corner stood in the full light. It felt strange. It felt correct. "All right," I said, drawing a breath. "Let us clean up this mess." It took 3 hours for the formal debrief. They moved us to another floor, one that most of the staff did not know existed. No windows, neutral gray walls, folding chairs, a table stacked with thick paper forms. The operators had gone. They were replaced by men and women in plain suits with hard eyes. They moved through the room like chess players, stopping at each chair, asking the same set of questions in different tones. "What did you see? What did you understand? Who touched the computer?" I did not sit with the others. I sat in a small side office with a metal desk and a single chair. Across from me was Agent Hollis, a woman in her 50s with hair in a no-nonsense bun and a face that had seen many kinds of foolishness. "You did not try to physically stop him," she said, reviewing the report I had already signed. "You chose to trigger the protocol instead." "If I had rushed the laptop, that might have escalated into a struggle," I said. "That would have looked worse on camera. Also, the convoy was already visible. The exposure had occurred. At that point, my priority is containment, not optics." Hollis nodded. "You acted within guidelines," she said. "Good timing, good composure." "Thank you," I said, though the word tasted odd. She closed the folder. "Regional wants to dissolve this cover site," she continued. "They do not like noise. They do not like social media posts about lockdowns." I thought about the drivers who had nothing to do with this, about the warehouse crew that had no idea there were 3 levels of basement under their forklifts. "If you pull out," I said, "you will have to build a new shell from scratch. New leases, new routes, new drivers. That increases risk surface. Intermetro still has value as a haystack." "Explain," she said. "Black Lantern and the others blend best inside normal freight volume," I said. "You know this. Project Falcon tried dedicated routes and you saw how that went." Her eyebrow lifted. That case was not public, not even common in liaison circles. "You read deep," she said. "That is the job," I replied. She studied me for a moment. "All right, make your argument," she said. "If we keep this hub, what do you need to keep it from blowing up twice?" "Derek gone," I said. "Permanently. No consultancy, no advisory role. He will find a way to brag. He cannot help it." "That is already decided," she said dryly. "He will plead to a reduced charge if he is smart. If he is not, he will learn some new vocabulary in court." "Then I need formal authority inside the company," I continued. "Not just hidden clearance. I need a title that lets me override decisions that affect transit integrity without begging." "Such as," she prompted. "Director of Regulatory Operations," I said. Or something equally boring that no one will question. It should be high enough on the chart that future Derricks must listen when I say no. She smiled faintly at the phrase future Derricks. Anything else? She asked. A stipend for a small internal team, I said. 2 assistants who can handle normal audits and keep people away from my real work. I am tired of writing every training slide and parking policy memo myself. Hollis jotted a few notes with a pen that probably cost more than my cardigan collection. Bold for someone who was answering toner emails yesterday, she said. I was also routing hazardous materials around school districts yesterday, I replied. Only one of those jobs was acknowledged. She capped the pen. I will recommend we maintain Intermetro as a front, she said. You will receive an updated liaison contract. The company will receive a very persuasive suggestion about new leadership structure. Thank you, I said again. This time it felt closer to genuine. By early evening, the shutters around the building had rolled up. The barriers had sunk back into the pavement. To a passing car, Intermetro looked normal again. A forgettable box in an industrial park. Inside, it was different. Phones were still dead, waiting for replacements. People shuffled back to their desks in a daze, clutching temporary ID cards and thick non-disclosure packets. They had been told a story during debrief. According to that story, Derek had engaged in unauthorized data sharing with a competitor. The government had intervened to prevent a corporate espionage breach. The map on the screen had been described as proprietary routing software, not a federal portal. It was not the truth. It was not entirely a lie. It was a shield. Upstairs, Derek's office was empty. The glass door stood open. His espresso machine hummed on the sideboard, still on a timer that would produce coffee for a man who would not drink it. I stepped inside. The chair behind the desk was too large. I sat in it anyway. The maintenance supervisor appeared in the doorway. Ms. Price?" he said, almost stumbling over the word Ms. "The building manager said you are cleared for this office now. Should I move your things up from your old cube?" "Yes," I said. "Please do. Take your time with the plants. They will not enjoy the shock." He chuckled nervously, then left. I leaned back. The view from the window was the same parking lot, same stretch of highway, same distant fast food sign. It just looked different from this height. On my new desk was a fresh laptop in a matte black shell. No company logo. It hummed softly when I opened it. The login screen did not say Intermetro. It said Federal Transit Network. Underneath, in smaller text, Liaison Node, Site Riverside. Under that, my name. Director Danielle Price. Somewhere in another state, 3 trucks had arrived safely at their quiet destination and backed into a deeply reinforced bunker. The Black Lantern cores would be removed and studied by people who speak another dialect of caution. My secure phone buzzed. Message from Hollis. Black Lantern secure. Containment review favorable. Welcome to the next level. I typed a short reply. Understood. Then I opened a new document in a much more mundane window. It was titled simply, Revised Safety Training, Version 1. Most of my coworkers would never know exactly what had happened. They would not know how close they came to becoming a footnote in a report written in very cold language. They would only know that one afternoon, alarms had gone off, doors had locked, and their loud boss had been escorted away by people with guns. And they would know that after that day, when I said no, the answer remained no. Invisibility, I realized, had saved me. It had kept me underestimated long enough to build systems no one else understood. Long enough to be the one person in that building who knew which button to press and when to press it. But sometimes the beige ghost has to materialize. Step into the red light, point to the problem. And then, when the crisis is over, she fades right back into the background. Cardigan, clipboard, calm, holding the keys to things that can never be allowed to fall into the hands of people like Derek. Outside my new office, I could hear Trey whisper to someone. "I had no idea Danielle was like that," he said. "You think she is going to make this place stricter?" Good, replied Marvin. Someone should. I smiled to myself. I approved a new ghost route in the secure system. I sent an email about parking permits. I drank espresso from the machine that someone else bought. And I thought, not without a certain satisfaction, they fired the wrong woman in another life. In this one, they promoted her, whether they realize it or not.